Hi guys, welcome to the Citizen channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. Please, if you are new to this channel, please push that subscribe button. We do everything City, past and present here on these little vlogs, so I do try and inform and entertain, and there's some links on screen as well for Facebook and Twitter where I do post loads of City stuff. So if you follow a friend me on there, I do check every few days and follow and friend everyone back. And if you do get a chance, please have a check out my film and TV channel as well, which I try and inform and entertain on there, and all the latest films and TV drama here in the UK and from around the world. So if you can check that out, that will be fantastic. Anyway, hope you enjoy today's feature. Today, yes, we're going back to the 21st of August 1993. Spurs, or Tottenham Hotspur, give them their full title, versus Manchester City in the Carling Premiership in today's History Boys feature. We're going to have a look at that game and a little bit of the build up to it. It's only the third game of the season, so quite early in the season. It would turn out, of course, to be a disappointing season, but the signs had been showing the previous season, although obviously Mr. Reid, Peter Reid's magic was beginning to wane. I use the term magic quite loosely on that. Obviously, we'd been top five for a couple of seasons under Mr. Reid's tenure, and obviously the slips, the sort of flaws were showing, weren't they, as we approached the 1993-94 season. Unknown at the time, of course, Peter Reid was literally just 2 games away from the sack. There you go, that says it all. And of course, Peter Swells himself was clinging on to power and trying to move things around and putting other people in the hot seat, if you like, a certain Mr. Maddock, etc., to do his dirty work for him as he sort of clung on to power. But obviously it was a time with the old Franny Lee waiting in the wings, wasn't it? So that's what we had to look forward to. Let's say we were looking forward to it. We certainly were at the time. But what about the build? What about our build up to this away game? Of course, at the old White Hart Lane. We'd had our first game at home, a 1-1 draw with Leeds. There's no shame in that. Leeds hadn't had a particularly good season before, but they were still one of the top dogs, if you like, and of course still one of the prize scalps. So a 1-1 draw in itself was not a total disaster. I mean, Reid was upbeat for the season in the program notes for that game on the 14th of August, despite missing out on some transfer targets. No surprise there. But very soon, amidst the rumblings of discontent off the pitch, we had obviously Swales stepping down. So that had happened, as I said, and then he brought in a sort of new guy to sort of take the flak, if you like, or take responsibility. But that little saga had a little time to run yet as we approached this. And it was Tony Colton who was actually pulling up trees, if you like, doing some great stuff to keep us in that Leeds game. Although it was a 1-1 draw, Tony Colton was certainly City's man of the match, and obviously it could have ended a lot worse for City. This was followed by a defeat at Goodison Park, who again we're gonna have an okay early season. So obviously it was no shame in that, no shame in getting beat at Goodison Park. But the headline was met with words like the words like "City are lost without Quinn." Yeah, we didn't have Mr. Niall Quinn then, and City journalist Paul Hintz claimed that City are like a ship without a rudder. I mean, don't forget this is the second game of the season. Yeah, valid point, but if you think we're reactionary today, obviously we were certainly reactionary back in those days as well, so there's no change there. A ship without a rudder, there you go. But by game 3 on the trip to White Hart Lane, Ozzy Ardilez's Spurs, yeah, that guy's come back to haunt us. It became obvious that Peter Reid was sort of all these changes in the board level, and with Swales and the new guy coming in, etc., that Mr. Reid was sort of already living on borrowed time, and this was game 3 of the season. And then the headlines say it all, really, for that match. Sick City need a kickstart, said one headline, and City slump to new depths, said the papers. And the Lost City, yeah, that's us. Reid's men are on the road to nowhere. A couple of things there: film, book, TV, song, everything in that one. So there you go. There were the headlines. And under the title "Blue Peter," journalist Ken Montgomery wrote about the problems at City in his match report, which I'm going to quote to you now. Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. Peter Reid sees the deepening despair really hit rock bottom at White Hart Lane last night. Deepening despair, 3 games. There you go. When the Manchester City player boss arrived at the press conference to discuss yet another defeat, he requested a glass of white wine and was promptly told, "Sorry, we have none, but you can have water." There you go. Perhaps you could turn the wine into water. Well, perhaps not. Or water into wine, more. Yeah, even that as well. It looks like being a bread and water winter for Reid, injury-stricken, cash-strapped, and now with just one meagre point in the cupboard from City's 3 opening games. Those brutal statistics are hardly likely to further endear him to City chairman Peter Swales, who this week has installed the former journalist John Maddock as Main Road's general manager to help dig Peter out of a trench. City have tried to reinforce a skeleton-thin staff, but the real big bucks that they need are still not available. The Main Road men showed in a mediocre White Hart Lane scrap that they need blood transfusions badly. They lost a Mickey Mouse match to a goofy-type 68th minute goal that began when Reid himself played a pass to veteran Steve McMahon, only to see disaster strike. Jason Dezelle, the man causing cash problems between Spurs and Ipswich, charged the ball down and bulldozed his way up the right flank. His cross glanced off Michael Vonk and was headed straight to keeper Tony Coulton by Andy Hill. Coulton, one of the few stars in the City show, did well to keep the ball out, but Steve Sedgley toe-ended it home to give Spurs a win they deserved, but only just. Reid knew things were running totally against him when Rick Holden's cross just put young Spurs defender Sol Campbell into a late panic, and he pushed the ball straight into Michael Sharon's path. But the City striker up there in front on his own for so long threw away the gift by shooting wide. Brave Reid insisted. We defended quite well, but it was a sloppy goal and to give away. Tony Coulton kept us in the game, and it was a shame that we had to lose one like that. I'm still in charge of team matters, but it all depends on how much people are asking when we go about signing new players. We have a very small squad, and we have a big game coming up on Tuesday against Blackburn Rovers. City rarely look like prizing anything away from a Spurs side who have now beaten them 5 times on the trot. Not anymore, eh? Well, perhaps not. Apart from the late miss by Sharon, the only time they even got close to scoring was when Vonk headed tamely into the side netting after half an hour. City's travelling fans know the problem Reid has. They spent most of the sunny afternoon at Spurs chanting, "City, City, we'll support you evermore," adding at regular intervals, "Swales out, Swales out." Well, yeah, you've got to add that in, haven't we, as well? Reid threw on the not nearly fit Niall Quinn for McMahon with 17 minutes left, but it didn't make a great deal of difference, and ordinary Spurs always look good enough to keep the Main Road men firmly in the Premiership dungeon. And unless somebody opens those purse strings much wider for Reid, it's going to be a long, hard winter at Main Road. Young Gary Flitcroft looks like the jewel in the crown of City's tarnished tiara, but a kid of this calibre needs a lot of support. So does Peter Reid. Yeah, man of the match. Sammy Samways. Is it Sammy Samways of Spurs was got the man of the match for that? Yeah, Paul Hinds give his little player ratings in the Manchester Evening News. They were not devastating reading actually for supposedly a poor game, but we'd say we'd played 3 and accumulated just 1 point and were 5th from the bottom at that stage. But we have a look at the player ratings. Again, Coulton a 9 out of 10, Hill 7, Vonk 8, Brightwell 6, Phelan 7, McMahon 5. Yeah, he was struggling a bit, McMahon, at that stage. Reid 7, Flitcroft 7, White 6, Sharon 6, and Holden 7. So in itself, on its own, they're not too bad scores. Of course, Peter Reid gave his view on the match as well in the Manchester Evening News the following day. We defended well enough, but it's clear we are having problems scoring, and it's goals that win matches. We carried a lot more threat up front once Niall Quinn had come on, and I was tempted to look back and ask myself whether I should have made the substitute earlier. The trouble is that Niall hasn't recovered fully from his hamstring injury, and I was a bit wary about asking him to do too much too soon. Steve McMahon took 2 nasty blows on his ankle, which restricted him, but I thought we coped well enough in midfield. I'm not getting any younger, and the conditions out there were very hot, but I lasted out the full 90 minutes without too many problems. We have not had a good start to the season, but I'm not going to start talking about injuries. It is up to us to remedy the situation, starting against Blackburn at Main Road tomorrow night. Yeah, well, obviously a midweek home defeat to Blackburn, 2-0. would be would sound the death knell for Peter Reid, who'd lasted just the 4 games of the 93-94 season. Spurs, yeah, Spurs would not exactly the greatest season for them. They would actually go on to finish 15th that season. City was safe. We didn't get relegated or anything like that, but we did finish 16th. So we actually finished a place below Spurs. So hey, if you probably offered me that after game 3, if you like, against Tottenham, we'd probably grab your hands off at actually surviving. So that doesn't sound too bad, does it? So there you go. Anyway, so there we go. Thanks for joining for this little History Boys feature of a game, say, not significant in itself, but obviously all the ramifications after it and around it and before it were quite important in the history of Manchester City. So, as we say, that was the Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0, the Carling Premiership, 21st of August 1993. Thanks for watching. What are you going to do the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. Till we meet here again on the Citizen channel, or perhaps have a flick across. Have a look at my film and TV channel if you want to have a break from football. I only ever ask you to do one simple thing for me. Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.